Question 1. An architect is designing a highly available application in Azure that requires a 99.95% service level agreement, SLA, for its virtual machines. The application needs to be resilient to unplanned hardware failures and planned maintenance events within a single Azure data center. Which Azure features should the architect use to meet these requirements, assuming at least 2 VM instances are deployed? Option A. Azure Availability Zones. Option B. Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets. Option C. Azure Availability Sets. Option D. Azure Site Recovery. The correct answer is Azure Availability Sets. Here's the explanation. Azure Availability Sets provide a 99.95% SLA for VMs with 2 or more instances, protecting against failures and planned maintenance within a single data center. Availability zones provide a higher SLA, 99.99%, across multiple data centers. Virtual machine scale sets include auto-scaling, and site recovery is for disaster recovery across regions. Question 2. A system administrator is configuring an Azure availability set for a critical application. Which of the following statements accurately describes the purpose and default configuration of fault domains, FDs, and update domains, UDs, within an availability set? Option A. Fault domains protect against planned maintenance events, default 5, and update domains protect against unplanned hardware failures, default 3. Option B. Fault domains protect against unplanned hardware failures, default 3. And update domains protect against planned maintenance events, default 5. Option C. Both fault domains and update domains protect against planned maintenance events, with default counts of 3 and 5 respectively. Option D. Both fault domains and update domains protect against unplanned hardware failures, with default counts of 5 and 3 respectively. The correct answer is fault domains protect against unplanned hardware failures, default 3, and update domains protect against planned maintenance events, default 5. Here's the explanation. Fault domains, FDs, provide physical isolation against unplanned hardware failures like power or network outages, default 3. Update domains, UDs, are logical groupings for planned maintenance, ensuring only one group is updated at a time, default 5. Question 3. A developer needs to ensure that a newly created Azure Virtual Machine, VM, is part of an availability set to guarantee high availability for a critical service. At what point in the VM lifecycle must the VM be associated with an availability set? Option A. The VM can be added to an availability set at any time after its creation. Option B. The VM must be added to an availability set at the time of VM creation. Option C. The VM can be added to an availability set only after it has been deallocated. Option D. The VM can be added to an availability set by modifying its network settings. The correct answer is the VM must be added to an availability set at the time of VM creation. Here's the explanation. A key constraint for Azure availability sets is that a VM must be added to an availability set at the time of VM creation. It cannot be added to an existing availability set afterwards. Question 4. A solutions architect is designing a highly available application in Azure. They choose to deploy critical components across multiple availability zones within the same Azure region. What is the primary benefit of this design choice? Option A. To reduce data transfer costs between application components. Option B. To protect against region-wide outages and provide disaster recovery. Option C. To isolate the application from localized failures such as power outages or network disruptions in a single data center. Option D. To improve content delivery speed globally by caching data closer to users. The correct answer is to isolate the application from localized failures such as power outages or network disruptions in a single data center. Here's the explanation. Availability zones, AZs, are physically distinct, isolated locations within a region, each with independent power, cooling, and networking. Their primary purpose is fault isolation, protecting applications from localized, data center-level failures within that region. They do not protect against region-wide outages. B. Cross-AZ data transfer usually incurs costs. A. And edge locations/CDNs are for global content delivery. D. Question 5. Which statement accurately describes the relationship between an Azure region and availability zones? Option A. An Azure region is a single data center, and availability zones are separate geographical areas. Option B. An Azure availability zone can span multiple Azure regions to provide global redundancy. Option C. An Azure region is a large geographical area that can contain multiple physically separate availability zones. Option D. Availability zones are a legacy feature replaced by Azure regions for high availability. The correct answer is: an Azure region is a large geographical area that can contain multiple physically separate availability zones. Here's the explanation. An Azure region is a large geographic area, and within that region there are typically 3 or more availability zones. Each AZ is a physically distinct location designed for isolation, but they are all part of the same parent region. Question 6. A company is deploying a mission-critical database in Azure that requires synchronous data replication and minimal downtime in case of a data center failure. Which of the following considerations is most important when using availability zones for this scenario? Option A. Data transfer between availability zones is always free, reducing operational costs. Option B. Availability zones are primarily designed for disaster recovery to a different continent. Option C. Services deployed across availability zones must be configured to handle low-latency network communication for synchronous replication. Option D. All Azure services automatically replicate data across availability zones without explicit configuration. The correct answer is: services deployed across availability zones must be configured to handle low-latency network communication for synchronous replication. Here's the explanation. Availability zones within a region are connected by high-speed, low-latency links, which is crucial for synchronous data replication, like for databases, to ensure minimal data loss and quick recovery. Data transfer between AZs is typically not free. A. AZs provide high availability within a region, not cross-continent disaster recovery. B. Not all services automatically replicate data across AZs. Some require explicit multi-AZ deployment. D. Question 7. What is the primary benefit of using Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets (VMSS) for deploying applications? Option A. To manage individual virtual machines with unique configurations and independent lifecycles. Option B. To deploy and manage a set of identical, auto-scaling, and load-balanced virtual machines. Option C. To replace the need for separate Azure Load Balancer or Application Gateway services. Option D. To provide persistent storage for stateful applications without external databases. The correct answer is: to deploy and manage a set of identical, auto-scaling, and load-balanced virtual machines. Here's the explanation. VM scale sets are designed to simplify the deployment and management of identical VMs, providing built-in auto-scaling and integration with load balancers for high availability and scalability. While flexible orchestration offers more control, the core benefit is managing a set of identical VMs. VMSS integrates with load balancers. It doesn't replace them, and instances are ideally stateless. Question 8. A web application experiences fluctuating traffic throughout the day. Which VMSS feature allows it to automatically add more instances during peak loads and remove them during low traffic periods? Option A. Health monitoring. Option B. Custom script extension. Option C. Automatic scaling, autoscale. Option D. Uniform orchestration mode. The correct answer is automatic scaling, autoscale. Here's the explanation. Automatic scaling, autoscale, is the key feature that enables VMSS to dynamically adjust the number of VM instances based on predefined rules, such as CPU utilization or schedule-based scaling. Health monitoring checks instance health, custom script extension runs post-deployment scripts, and uniform orchestration mode defines how instances are managed, but not the scaling logic itself. Question 9. Which Azure networking service is commonly integrated with virtual machine scale sets to distribute incoming network traffic evenly across all healthy instances? Option A, Azure Virtual Network Gateway. Option B, Azure DNS. Option C, Azure Firewall. Option D, Azure Load Balancer or Azure Application Gateway. The correct answer is Azure Load Balancer or Azure Application Gateway. Here's the explanation. VM scale sets are designed with built-in integration with Azure Load Balancer for Layer 4 traffic or Azure Application Gateway for Layer 7 traffic to evenly distribute incoming traffic and ensure high availability for the application running on the scale set instances. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.